Hello everyone, this is Earth Archives. In the summer, when wildfires occur frequently all over the world due to climate warming, let's take a look at the 5 most serious mountain forest fires in the history of the United States. Before the show starts, please subscribe, share, and turn on the little bell. This will help us grow faster. Without further ado, the show begins. When it comes to wildfires, North America's got a tale to tell, one that's long, painful, and downright fiery. Sure, nowadays, the wildest blazes tend to light up the western United States, where climate change has turned fire season into something straight out of a disaster movie. But let's not forget about the Midwest and Canada, where some of the nastiest infernos in North American history have left scars that still burn bright in our memories. From the Great Lakes to the Great White North, these wildfires have wreaked havoc, leaving destruction in their wake. They're not just your run-of-the-mill blazes. They're the stuff of legend, roaring across the landscape like a beast unleashed. So, what's behind these monstrous fires? Well, there's the weather, for starters. Hot, dry conditions create the perfect breeding ground for flames to spread like wildfire, literally. And let's not forget about human activity, like careless campers or sparks from machinery, adding fuel to the flames. But it's not all doom and gloom. Communities across North America have banded together to fight back against the flames, with firefighters risking life and limb to protect homes, forests, and wildlife. It's a battle as old as time itself, but one thing's for sure, when it comes to wildfires, North America isn't backing down without a fight. 1. The Peshtigo Fire and the Great Fires of 1871. Picture this, it's October 1871, and the upper Midwest of the United States is ablaze. We're talking 4 of the nastiest fires in American history, all burning at once in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois. It's chaos, it's devastation, and it's downright terrifying. Now, let's zoom in on Chicago. You've got the legendary Great Chicago Fire, a beast that devoured everything in its path. By the time it's done, 300 folks are gone, 17,500 buildings are toast, and a whopping 100,000 people are left with nowhere to call home. But hold on to your hats, folks, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Over in Michigan, 3 other wildfires are wreaking havoc, snatching up more than 500 lives in their fiery grip. And then there's Peshtigo, Wisconsin, a small logging town that's about to become the stuff of nightmares. On that fateful night of October 8, 1871, the Peshtigo fire comes roaring through like a bat out of hell. It's fast, it's furious, and it's deadly. By the time the smoke clears, 800 souls in Peshtigo alone have been claimed by the flames. And that's not all. When you tally up the total casualties, we're looking at a staggering 2,400 lives lost. It's a tragedy of epic proportions, folks. Now, let's talk about how we got here. Picture this, the summer and fall of 1871 are bone dry. I'm talking desert-level dry. And if that wasn't bad enough, you've got loggers running amok, leaving behind a tinderbox of dead branches and stumps. It's a recipe for disaster, and disaster is exactly what we get. Then, just when you think it couldn't get any worse, Mother Nature decides to throw a curveball. A storm front rolls in with winds howling at a blistering 100 miles per hour. It's like something out of a horror movie, small wildfires whipped up into flaming cyclones, hurtling towards Peshtigo with a vengeance. For the folks of Peshtigo, it's a night of terror unlike anything they've ever seen. Many are forced to take refuge in the Peshtigo River, surrounded by walls of fire on all sides. It's a scene straight out of hell itself, a night that will be seared into the memories of those who survive for years to come. 2. The Cloquet Fire, 1918. Imagine this, it's 1918, and the upper Midwest is facing another fiery nightmare. Remember those epic blazes of 1871? Well, this one's about to give them a run for their money. Picture this, October rolls around, and it's bone dry. We're talking desert-level dry, the kind of dry that makes you reach for a glass of water just thinking about it. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, along comes a passing train, kicking up sparks that ignite a wildfire outside the little town of Cloquet, Minnesota. Now, this fire might have started small, but don't let that fool you. It smolders for days, biding its time, until October 12 rolls around. That's when the winds decide to join the party, whipping up to a jaw-dropping 76 miles per hour. And just like that, the once tame wildfire turns into a fiery beast of epic proportions. The Cloquet Fire doesn't discriminate, it devours everything in its path. Towns like Cloquet, Moose Lake, and Kettle River are wiped off the map, their buildings reduced to ash in the blink of an eye. And as if that wasn't enough, it sets its sights on the big fish, Duluth. When all is said and done, over 1,000 souls have been claimed by the flames. Think about that for a second. That's more than 1,000 lives lost in the blink of an eye. And it's not just lives. The fire leaves a path of destruction in its wake, destroying 38 communities and charring a mind-boggling 250,000 acres of land. It's a tragedy of epic proportions, folks. A reminder of the awesome power of nature and the devastating impact it can have on our lives. And it's a story that will be etched into the history books for generations to come. 3. The Maui Wildfires, 2023, estimated. Once upon a time, Lahaina was the jewel of Maui, a slice of paradise nestled in the heart of the Hawaiian Empire. But on one fateful day in 2023, that paradise turned into a fiery nightmare. It all started innocently enough, just after midnight, when authorities got wind of a brush fire up in the Maui upcountry. Now, brush fires aren't exactly rare in these parts, but this one was different. It had a mind of its own. By dawn, a second fire had ignited outside Lahaina, sending folks into a frenzy. At first, it seemed like they had it under control. Firefighters swooped in, and by 9 a.m., they thought they had the situation contained. But Mother Nature had other plans. You see, Hurricane Dora was lurking down south, and she decided to give those flames a little nudge. With winds howling and flames dancing, Lahaina found itself surrounded by a ring of fire. Panic set in as folks realized they were trapped. Some tried to flee, but the smoke and heat had other ideas. So, what's a person to do when the world is burning around them? Jump in the ocean, of course. For hours, they clung to whatever they could find, praying for rescue. When the smoke cleared, the devastation was unimaginable. Nearly 100 lives were lost, with many more still missing. It was a tragedy of epic proportions, one that would be etched into the history books for years to come. 4. The Big Burn, or Big Blowup, 1910. Picture this, it's August 1910, and the American Northwest is about to face a wildfire like no other. They called it the Big Burn, and for good reason. It scorched a whopping 3 million acres of lush forest across Montana, Idaho, and Washington in just 36 hours. Talk about a blaze that could make your hair stand on end. Now, here's the kicker. Most of those who perished in this fiery inferno were the very heroes trying to tame it. Yep, 78 out of the 87 souls lost were brave firefighters. It was a gut-wrenching trial for the U.S. Forestry Service, which was still finding its feet after being formed just 5 years earlier in 1905. The spark that set this whole nightmare in motion, a bunch of tiny brush fires minding their own business in the drought-stricken woods. But then, out of nowhere, came the wind. And boy, was it fierce. Hurricane-force winds from a cold front swooped in and turned those innocent flames into a wild, unstoppable monster. Imagine flaming trees being torn from the earth and tossed around like they're made of paper. That's what it was like for those poor firefighters and survivors caught in the chaos. The heat was so intense, it turned trees into human-sized sparklers, exploding in a fiery spectacle. After the dust settled and the smoke cleared, the Forestry Service knew they had to up their game. They vowed to tackle even the tiniest forest fires with all they had, determined to prevent another monstrous blaze like the Big Blow-Up. And that's how they rolled from then on. No fire too small to snuff out, no forest too big to protect. 5. The Camp Fire, 2018. Picture this, November 2018, Northern California. It's supposed to be a cozy time, with folks gearing up for Thanksgiving and the holidays. But instead, it's like something out of a nightmare for the folks in Paradise and Conco. Why? Because they're staring down the deadliest wildfire California has ever seen, the Camp Fire. Now, California's no stranger to wildfires. They call late summer and fall fire season for a reason. But this was something else entirely. This was hell unleashed. It all started innocently enough on November 8th, when an ancient electrical transmission line up in the Sierra Nevada foothills decided to throw a tantrum. That's all it took to spark the inferno that would soon become the Camp Fire. And with the wind playing its part, fanning the flames downhill, it was chaos in paradise, literally. Imagine this, a wildfire barreling downhill at a speed so insane, they measured it as 80 football fields a minute. Yeah, you read that right. 4 hours is all it took for paradise to be nearly wiped off the map. 86 lives lost, over 30,000 people without a home, just like that. But here's the silver lining. In the face of this fiery demon, over 5,500 firefighters stepped up to the plate. They battled tirelessly for 17 days straight, fighting tooth and nail to bring this monster under control. And that's the thing about Californians, they're tough as nails, and they'll fight tooth and claw against anything that threatens their home. What do you think about this story? Please leave your comments. See you in the next episode.